everyone, I'm Teacher Zaira.
And I am Teacher Chino.
And we
We're
are
from Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Science.
And welcome to the world of multicultural education.
Let the learning begins.
In today's video, you will learn the myths about education, model minority myth. Before we start our discussion, let's first understand the key terms. What is myth?
Myth is a widely held but false belief or idea.
How about model? Let's first understand what is model.
Model is a system or thing used as an example to follow or imitate.
What is minority?
Minority is a group of people that differ in some way from the majority of the population, or any part of a whole that is smaller than the other parts. Let's now understand the definition of model minority myth. The term model minority refers to a minority or a member of such group stereotypically viewed as being more successful than other such groups or individuals. It is most often applied to Asian Americans. The idea behind the term model minority is criticized as a form of stereotyping that also ignores or obscures not only the racism and discrimination that Asian Americans face, but also the wide diversity among Asian Americans. It is also criticized for serving to perpetuate white supremacy and create divisions between minority groups. And lastly, the term model minority myth is used to criticize the idea of the model minority as false and widespread. Let's now proceed to the history of model minority myth. The term model minority was introduced by sociologist William Patterson in his 1966 article in the New York Times Magazine about the success story of the Japanese Americans in the US. In the article, Patterson asserts that Japanese Americans, despite facing intense racism and discrimination, including internment during World War II, achieved success in a way that other minority groups had not. Critics of both the term and concept cite them as contributing to what they call the model minority myth, or the false but pervasive idea that all Asian Americans are equally economically and socially successful. Such stereotypes are often rooted in statistics showing that Asian Americans have on average higher college education rates and incomes than any other group in the US, including white Americans. Next is the belief in the model minority myth. Social barriers no longer exist. If you work hard, have good values, and are reasonably intelligent like the Asians, you can be successful. If you are not successful, it's because you are lazy and lack work ethics and values. How about model minority myth in education? This myth characterizes Asian Americans as a polite, law-abiding group who have achieved a higher level of success than the general population through some combination of innate talent and pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, immigrant striving. Example: my mother is Malaysian Chinese. My dad is white. I am usually perceived as Asian. So because of the model minority myth, my failure to reach an expected level of achievement in math was attributed to some kind of deficiency or lack of effort on my part. What is the disadvantage of model minority myth in education? Asian American college students have higher rates of attempting suicide than those in other groups. The model minority myth hides the pressure and paradoxes inherent within an Asian American identity. If you don't fit into the myth, it is hard to find your place at all. Model minority myth of Asian American on screen. Western films present stereotypes through Asian values such as obedience, skill, and intelligence as more desirable than those held by other, more problematic minorities in the white American imagination. These favorable skills, such as being talented in martial arts, academic endeavors, and even expressing American patriotism, began building characteristics that shaped the repeated representation of Asia and Asian Americans on screen. Example is the Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies.
Good day everyone, I am Teacher Gino and I'm going to discuss about the struggle and conformity. How Asian Americans cope with the racial barriers, those restrictions, those exclusions, rejections of people based on their ethnicity, their culture, and their skin color. So first we have here assimilation. Assimilation is the process where individuals or a group of differing ethnic heritage are absorbed into the dominant culture of a society, meaning to become like others. Their goal is to learn, to comprehend, or help another person to adapt to a new environment. Like for example, changes of dress and behaviors of an immigrant may go through when living in a new country. And also, another example, a child sees a new type of dog that they never seen before and immediately points to be the animal and says, dog. So next, we have internalized racism, rejecting the Asianness. The Golding says, there's no real taste of how Asian you need to be able to own your Asianness, regardless of their belonging to whiteness or Americanness or mixed race Asians. They actually experience the same taunting and discrimination as full Asians. So we have also acceptance, fear of rocking the boat. Some Asian Americans, acceptance is either, is impossible in their community. Asian communities deride them for the whiteness or Americanness, and their white communities direct slurs towards them and their families. Prejudice against mixed people saturates other communities of color. Those Africa Latina describe people telling them that you're too black to be Latina or you're too Latina to be black. Fact number 1 portrays the idea that Asian American students do not need help. Most of the Asian American students are actually educated. They don't need the help of others because they have the support coming from their parents. They have the support coming from the teachers and also from their loved ones. When breaking down by ethnicity, you can see the disparity in educational attainment among Southeast Asians. So Asian American students said their parents exerted more pressure on them to succeed than white Americans did. Researchers said Asian Americans' cultural orientation and immigrant status are key drivers to a high effort mentality. So Asian Americans said view education as a primary means for upward mobility. The fact that Asian Americans are inherently smart, their educational advantage is credited mainly to Asian students exerting greater academic effort and not to advantages in tested cognitive abilities or socio-demographics. This table is actually referring to educational attainment of people aged 25 and over. The data reveals that Asians' overall bachelor's degree or higher got 48.9%. Male bachelor's degree or higher got 51.3%. Female bachelor's degree or higher got 46.8%, respectively from Cambodian, Hmong, Laotian, Vietnamese compared to overall USA educational attainment. Fact number 2. Asian Americans are less likely to seek help for mental health issues. According to research published by the Commonwealth Fund, minorities in the United States are less likely to get mental health treatment or will wait until symptoms are severe before looking. In fact, only 66% of minority adults have a regular health care provider, compared to 80% of white adults. Hispanic and Asian population report the lowest rates of having a regular doctor or provider at 58% and 60%. It's important that we understand the rural culture place in mental health care so we can support our loved ones and encourage treatment when it's needed most. Mental health as a stigma. Asian American women have the highest rate of suicide among American females in the age group of 15 to 24. It is the second leading cause of death for AA females this age range. So as you can see, the table shows about percentage of reporting mental health problems of Asian American females. The highest percentage belongs to mental health professionals with 26%, followed by friends of relative 25% and physician 13% respectively. This means that the leading cause of death of American Asian women ages 15 to 24 is mental health issues. Today, we will be also advocating to give awareness and understanding this timely issue. It is also happening in our time since many of us are not aware to this issue. Let us advocate mental health activities that will lead us a peaceful and healthy environment. Avoid overthinking, stress, and do balance health activities. Belief. Asian Americans are passive and obedient, the trait of a model minority. Also portrays the idea that Asian Americans are not fit to be leaders. Internalization of this stereotype by Asian American students. Meaning more problematic is the inconsistency between Asian stereotypes and the traits people tend to value in leaders. While leaders are often expected to be competent, intelligent, and dedicated, they are also expected to be charismatic and socially skilled, along with masculine and authoritarian. This puts at a disadvantage Asian American who, like women, are often seen to fit low mid-level management position but not the top level of leadership. It's even harder for Asian women. The picture shows Lynn's face above a fortune cookie with the message, "The Knicks' good fortune." The picture shown following the Knicks' 100-85 win over the Sacramento Kings obviously played off Lynn's Asian American roots. Jeremy Lin is considered a leader in Asian American community. However, the media and the public discredit this fact by mocking and emphasizing on his race rather than commending his talent. Jeremy Lin has had to deal with comments regarding his race. It seems like Lin has used his heritage in order to inspire other Asian Americans, but when it comes down to it, he wants to be treated like any other NBA player. Lin proved to be a very versatile player against the King. Because of that, media outlets need to learn how to handle their coverage of him. Making mention of him being Asian American is perfectly fine, and he is something that is almost impossible to omit. But making a mockery of his heritage is unacceptable and bush league on the part of whoever does it. So that's it. That's all, guys. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all.